Hey there, young man. Do you want to see the world? Impress the beautiful girl next door? Well then, it sounds like you need to sign up with the Mechanized Infantry today. See the world, fight for the homeland, and become the pride of your community. Don't wait. Become a better person.
In 5D!
In 5D. Oh, you had such a strong start, but I gotta say, I'm sorry. I'm disappointed in the sound effects at the end. Or maybe it's just because it's coming through my headset. Maybe it'll sound better on the actual record.
The volume was a little low, but I will say, I feel like there was a missed opportunity. You should have pantomimed talking.
Ooh.
I think it would have been even better.
Yeah.
But I like where your head was at.
It wasn't a soda. It was kind of like this, propaganda that meets reality, and I just kind of left it at that. I was like, I'm just gonna leave it.
Where your head was at. Yeah.
No, I did like it though. I was waiting for the. Would you like to know more?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, no, I get what you did. I appreciate what you did, but no, tweaks here and there.
Yeah,
you're getting better, Klops.
I know.
Take this as coaching.
All right, here we are, another episode of.
Oh wait, Klops. Can you call me Coach from now on?
No, don't do that. We don't do that here.
Coach?
Yeah.
Why do you encourage him?
Hey, Coach was one of the best characters on Cheers, and then he died.
Oh, I thought you were talking about New Girl.
Oh no, I like that Coach, but that's not what I was. No. Nope.
Call me Coach from now on. I'm not going to do that, Peter.
Yeah, not what I was going for.
All right. So, here we are, another episode. I believe we took a holiday, and now we are back.
Holiday!
As always, we've got Bonsai with us, who is above me.
Celebrate!
We got Klops down below.
Hi.
I was hoping you were going to do the next line of Holiday.
I didn't have a holiday.
What song you're doing? Yeah, helpful.
It's a song. God damn it.
All right. So, real quick, how's everybody been? Anybody watch the Oscars?
Nope.
And that's all we're gonna do. No Oscar talk from here on out.
Need to explain it. So, I'm done with the Oscars. Like, legitimately, I'm just kind of over the whole experience. I was actually talking to my wife about this because Hulu actually has the Oscars, which was kind of cool and surprising. I didn't think Hulu would have it, right? My issue with the Oscars now is I actually buy into what the whole original idea of the Oscars was. It was actors giving awards to other actors, right? It was a bunch of artsy people sitting around going like, hey man, this is the legit shit that you probably should know about, but you don't know about, you know? Like this is the OG shit of the year. And they've kind of given into this like, why aren't movies that people like in the Oscars? It should be everybody's vote, and whatever makes the most money should be the winner. And they're kind of giving into that mentality, and it's really not what the Oscars was supposed to be. I really wish the folks who ran it had like doubled down and been like, yeah, this isn't really about the televised spectacle. This is about the awards and the giving the credit to people who are doing really brilliant work. And no, it's just become about money and ratings and TV and bullshit.
So what you're saying is the lobbyists have got a hold of it.
I don't know about that. Well, lobbyists, it's more just become a parody of itself, and I'm just not into that.
I think they should have stopped televising it a while ago and just did a thing.
Because it wasn't for that.
Like, it's one of those things where like they started televising it just to give, every man a peek into that world, but it was never about them. So I understand that. I just think the process, now that I understand it a little bit more, there's been a couple of videos lately on YouTube and actually I think Hulu had one too, explaining how it works. And like, movies actually campaign.
Yes.
And it is very much like Hill politics.
Yes.
Like, people campaign, other people lobby. You get folks that are hired just to do grassroots campaigns to fuck other movies, because you can't do it officially. There have been movies that have been caught trying to fuck other movies, and they get banished. But it was fascinating to learn, but wholly disappointing to find out because honestly, it just sounds like the more a studio can pump money into their movie campaigning, the more that it's going to do well. And the issue is, I really want movies to be celebrated for the fact that they're an achievement for a director that took a risk, a movie that took a chance, stories that needed to be told,
Yes.
stories like I get it. Not
That's something
everything's
we
going to be a
stress
blockbuster.
a lot on this podcast, but man, if there is anything that I think all three of us can agree on, a movie is better when it's a story that somebody deeply wants to tell versus a story that they were hired to tell.
Right.
Yeah,
I'd even go further to say that the creative genius behind it is what we all kind of celebrate, right? Like obviously we have a movie that sits around, they talk a bunch, but we're not after that either. We're after like celebrating the visuals of it, like the kind of art of telling a story through cinema.
Yeah, and let me just give you an example of where this sentiment really ends up for me. I am not a 100% movie buff. Like there are people I will wholly admit that are much better at it than me. They can tell you actors' names. They can get specific lines of dialogue.
They can tell you the names of people who were in them.
Out of the air. No, I'm not even talking that. I'm talking about like they know who the light guy was. They know who the production director.
Right.
All those folks are, right? I'm not that guy. I love movies because they're a story, and I love stories.
Right.
And there was a particular conversation that we had earlier where Bonsai was relaying that apparently old movie old movie films had silver in them. And to get
so
some
yeah,
of the
old
silver
film,
back,
like the actual, so for like Klops, anybody who's listening, actual film itself back in the day had silver in it. I don't know why. I don't know what part of the process required silver, but film itself had traces of silver all throughout the film.
and apparently trying to get that film out, there's a couple of very classic films that you're just missing pieces of them, pieces that you'll never get back. And
So
that is
I'll go into it
bad.
really quick. We'll make it very short. I've been watching a YouTube series. I'm going to give credit to the guy. It's called Yesterworld Entertainment. Fantastic series about movies, games, and theme park attractions that are gone.
I think I've seen his like theme park stuff.
Well, that's probably Defunct Land. Defunct Land got pretty popular recently-ish. He mostly does theme park, and then he just started Defunct TV that goes over shows how they were produced and why they were canceled. But Yesterworld is kind of a Pepsi Coke kind of thing, but they are friends. They've done crossover episodes and things. And what he was talking about specifically with these films was King Kong, Wizard of Oz, Doctor Strangelove. There were a couple other ones. The Shining. All of these movies have scenes that are unfortunately gone. They will never, ever, ever be recovered. Basically, the movies came out, and back then, movies couldn't run for 3 hours. They tried to keep things like tight, hour 30 and less, and honestly, hour 30 was pushing it. They were really trying to go for that like hour 10 range. Okay? So these great movies like King Kong and Wizard of Oz get filmed, and they have stuff that's not getting cut because it's bad, but because it's too long. And so to re-add those in and give people a little bit more of the magic that those movies brought them would be wonderful. But it's not even just a matter of like, it's a stubborn guy who's not releasing the film. It's gone. Back in these days when you cut something and you knew you weren't going to use it for the release, there was only so much room in these warehouses and archives where they kept these films. There was only so much room on a reel, and there was only so much airtime. You cut the shit out, and then you took the film that was there, and you burnt it to recapture the silver. So it is gone. It's gone. It's never coming back. And there are scenes from Wizard of Oz where there are still references to these scenes in the movie. And they play it well where you'd never notice, but there's a scene where the Wicked Witch says she sent a little bug ahead of them to figure out what was going on. Well, there's actually a scene in The Wizard of Oz where they're attacked by the jitterbugs, and it makes them dance around, and they got the jitterbugs. They're being held up by it. There's a whole mini arc where the Cowardly Lion has a net and the Wicked Witch takes it from him. There's a scene where the Tin Man is filled with bees, and at one point the Wicked Witch looks at him and says, "I'm going to turn you into a beehive." Yeah, she does that in the movie. It fucking happens. It was filmed, but you will never see it. That footage is gone. gone, never to be returned.
And alongside that, that was really sad for me because
Like, I'm not even a big King Kong or Wizard of Oz fan, but just knowing that this piece of the story isn't even an option ever. It's just gone.
And these are classic movies, and this is the kind of thing where like I may not be a giant film buff, but this makes me sad because I love film. I love the place it takes me to. I like being part of the genre and not the genre, but like the entertainment and media. And that's sad. That's why seeing the Oscars and how they're really done actually made me really, really fucking sad and bummed out. Because now I can't trust that a movie won because a movie won, and because even people in the know thought it was good. Now it's about how much money the studio put into it. And as we start getting old, not older, obviously, but it's like these industries, including the fucking gaming industry, these giant studios start burning out. Like, what else are we gonna lose because these behemoths don't know how to fucking act, right?
A lot.
Like AAA industry is fucking crashing right now. We got layoffs. We got all kinds of other things, and I love gaming. Gaming gives me the one bit of freedom that I can seldomly get anywhere else, short of like being on stage and playing music, right? And I haven't been able to do that steadily for years now. So this is where I find it important that they keep us some sort of standard, but it's just sad to see behind the curtains, honestly.
Never meet your heroes, right?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
But see, that's where I take it with like that's my drive, right? I mean, that's why I'm always striving to create better things. I mean, it's like
no, absolutely. It's why I'm kind of a perfectionist about things, and why we don't release a whole lot on this network is because all of us sit around and go, "It's not good enough," which is honestly a thing we're all going to have to get over eventually, just so we can have more content, guys.
Well, that's why I've been taking that. Like, I haven't been critiquing it too much. You know what I mean? And I've been having other people help me critique. But that's what I'm saying is like I see this collapse happening with a lot of the like industries that I care about, and it's like I want it to be better. But the only way it's going to get better is if people that have creative ideas do the things that they want. And it's tough.
But
it's fucking tough.
It's even tough because the old behemoths they're dying, right? The ocean's drying up and these leviathans are dying. But the problem is they're taking others with them. You've got the old guard in media trying to take down the new guard, like the YouTubers and stuff and all this other things. Like, say what you want about individual content creators. Like, who cares what medium they use? But there have been, like, legitimate hit pieces. And then you've got things like the EA behemoth that likes to buy up smaller studios, take the IP, and then demolish the studios.
Yeah, and then sometimes not even fucking do anything with the IP.
Yeah, they just sit on it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I know what you're talking about. I've been around a while.
Yeah. So
that's cute.
Disney does the same thing. Like fucking the Vader film that happened. Did you guys hear about that one? Like, there was a fan-made Vader film that he got permission from LucasArts to do this, and it was a total passion project. He put all of his money into it, or not all of his money, but his own money into it. He was already reaping some success from YouTube from other things, so he went to go do this, and he got the first part out there, and it was immediately flagged by Disney. And eventually, though, it does have a happy ending. LucasArts stepped in and was like, no, he's cool. Let him do his thing. So he was able to proceed with this.
Yeah, but how many people out there don't have someone at LucasArts speaking up for them?
I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And like, some of it does seep through. And that's what really matters. You know what I mean?
Well, I just wish there was a lot more of that. I agree with you.
Hey guys, let's talk about a thing that we liked recently.
So this is why we're not talking about the Oscars, because we talked about the Oscars for 14 minutes.
All right. We're talking about why we're not talking about the Oscars.
Exactly. Actually, there are a couple of things that I want to cover because they are in your face news, not e-news, but I am pretty curious to get Cobb's take on Anthem because he's actually been playing it.
Gross.
Yeah. So speaking of EA Giants, I've actually been playing 2 EA games.
We'll get to the second one.
which is amazing. I
Also
normally
that
don't
Anthem.
play any EA games, so I got the Premier or a Premier membership for EA because I'm really hesitant to spend $60 on a goddamn game that might be like Destiny or Destiny 2 or The Division. Those left me pretty wanting and salty.
All
Uh,
games I like.
However, from playing Anthem, even in the short couple days that I've had with it, I have to say it's. I won't say that it's like this gleaming gem of hope, right? You know, but it's decent, right? It's actually got more storyline than I ever expected it to have. The visuals in it are actually really good. I like the artistic style that it went with. It went with more of a kind of like Tibetan monk feel, actually. They have like bright banners all around, and like you're in this like city that almost looks like it could be straight from Tibet, almost.
Could they
Um,
be trying to appeal to the Chinese market?
Possibly. I haven't run into any like PvP though, so I don't know if that's a thing they really want. They might. I I don't know. However, I will say that playing the game and the game mechanics, uh, they're fine. They work good. I really like the transitioning from like flying around to like going into the water to landing, uh, to shooting other things in the air or being on the ground and shooting. Because each one you have a different javelin that does different things. I ended up
Javelin.
picking up the javelin is a giant mech suit that you pilot. There's
Thank
four
you.
different kinds. There's the storm, which harnesses elements like ice, lightning, and fire.
So it's the wizard.
And yep, he's the wizard that does more control on the battlefield. And that's the javelin I ultimately went with in the end. And I really enjoy. Then there's the interceptor, which is more like the ninja rogue, where they're really speedy and they like melee attack and get in close range, but they're also kind of weak physically. Then you have the ranger, which is like the medium build, which is actually the build that you want to do for doing more heavy damage towards a single target, like a boss or something like that. Then you can call on artillery and stuff like that and have different grenades. And then there's the Colossus, which is the tank of the group, which they don't get a shield, but they get a shit ton of health and they can use all the heavy weapons and they are slow and clunky. But
Slow and clunky.
playing with the storm, I've actually really enjoyed that. I started off as an interceptor, that was okay, but when I got to the storm, I was like, "This is great! I'm a fucking glass cannon. Like, I can't take much damage, but I can just wreck things and control the area." And your teammates can combo off of that. Like, there's certain elements that you can use that other teammates can play off of, and it gives bonus XP to you guys. Um, and I'll say that the enemies didn't feel too overpowered when starting. It doesn't feel like I'm just shooting a whole clip into something and then I'm not getting anywhere. At least when I shoot that whole clip into something, it's almost dead, or it dies right away.
That's
Um,
nice.
So it didn't feel too overdone. We're getting into a little bit higher levels now, so it's picking up a little bit more with that. But I expected that. But even then, with my zone of control as a storm javelin, it's not too bad. Uh, I will say though that in my first kind of couple hours with the game, I went into a free roam because they have different modes. They have you can do missions, you can go to strongholds, you can do free roam and go collect things and stuff. Starting off in free roam because I was just like, I'm just gonna wander around and look at the place. Map is huge, map is cool, um, but being a giant map doesn't make up for not having anything in it, right? And it was very scarce. However, as I played the storyline and played missions, I did get more stuff to do. Um, it just feels like we're gonna get to that in-game content before they come out with more stuff, and it's gonna be like Destiny or the Division, and be kind of lacking and something that you have to come back to. Which I don't necessarily mind, but it can also doom games, and I don't like that. Um, I will say that it is a lot of fun playing with my friends. The storyline is interesting enough for me to like continue playing and wanting to play. And the characters are at least all varied. They're not just all like bland people, right? You know, they all have their quirks, they all do their different things. There's a girl that's socially awkward that you get missions from, and I think really cute. Fallen hates her guts. So I mean there's two different reactions to that kind of happening, right? You know? Um they have all different kinds of archetypes for characters that you meet and you talk to, and each of your dialogue options does change your pathing in the dialogue trees. So there's different storylines that I've been getting that Fallen hasn't been getting because he's been doing what he wants to do, right? Yeah. So I am pretty satisfied with that. I do hope that does at least continue, and maybe that they'll get the content that they want, and they'll be around for a bit.
Okay, so I do have a question though, because this game has been like panned,
Mhm.
like all over the place. Like I've had folks go from, you know what, it's just boring, to this is the worst thing ever. So why do you think those reactions are coming out?
Well, I can speak to one part of that because I've been following it. I haven't been playing it, but I've been following it, and I can tell you it's exactly what I expect out of a fucking EA game. Day 1, Day 2 still presented problems that were present in the beta that people test played. Namely, there was a lot of issues with multiplayer. So,
Okay.
to the point where you couldn't join multiplayer. People, it would just spin and spin and spin. You couldn't hit a server.
Monster Hunter World.
So it happened. Then, to make it worse, they released a patch. Did not fix everybody's issue. Did not fix nearly everybody's
They didn't
issue.
actually make certain things worse.
There were players who were reporting it made it worse. I didn't actually hear any like confirmation that was like everywhere, everyone kind of thing. But yes, there were people saying like, okay, this patch is out and now I'm having more problems than I was having before. What the hell? I'm told by a buddy of mine who's actually enjoying the game. I have a buddy at work who's a really big fan. He's loving it. But having said that, I don't know how people are still giving EA money, giving them pre-order money, giving them the time of day when they are still years into the game releasing shit that does not function after an alpha test, after a beta test, and after a release. Does not work on day 1. Indie developers are getting this shit correct more often than AAAs are. EA is not worth your money. Ever.
I find that the fun part one was where apparently after day 1 patch, loot drops got worse,
Of course they did.
and it was funny because
Somebody
BioWare,
called them out on it.
yeah, someone called them out on it, and BioWare response was like, "Oh no, we actually screwed up before, and you were getting too many loot drops."
Yeah, it was
So we
broken
fixed it.
before. Oh,
Yeah, I
I
thought
mean,
that
it's
was
always
funny.
the case with those two. I mean, Destiny did the same shit, right? You know what I mean, that's just part of that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm not
not
gonna sit
saying
here
the
and say
game
that
is
it's the
worth
worst thing ever.
$60. Like, honestly, I really don't think it's worth $60. I think that it's worth, if you want to check it out, get the premieres, $15 after a month if you're still
What's-
having fun with it.
What's the difference between the premiere and the actual thing? Explain this to me. I don't know what this is.
So Origin Premiere is basically $15 to get access to their full library of games. Like
You
any
pay
of the
$15 and you can play any game they've ever made?
any
Well,
game they ever made.
$15
You
a
wanna-
month.
Yeah, $15 a month. If you want to play Command and Conquer Red Alert 2, it's there. You could do it, and it works. Like,
Interesting.
I've done it.
I'll give them that. That's interesting.
It's not a bad way to go about it. Or if you solely just want to play EA games for some odd reason, then you could pay a year.
Fucking glutton for punishment.
Yeah, it's like a yearly fee of $100.
Oh!
I use this as like, okay, EA, let's see how this game is. I did that with Battlefield 5. I was not impressed with Battlefield 5, so I canceled my membership.
And then
Nope.
here's Nintendo. Yeah, it's $20 for the year, guys.
Well,
So
that's
you
just for
have-
online play.
Yeah.
Like, online play with EA games are free. Like, you don't have to pay for any of that service.
But you're also getting a whole bunch of the NES games out of it. And they're always adding more.
I mean, that's true. They did that with every system, though. I bought Kid Chameleon like 4 times.
Yeah, that's
Just let me-
glut.
Just let me have Kid Chameleon. God damn it!
I just want one thing in life.
Let me have the one account that just transfers over to my new Nintendo device. Nintendo.
We're getting there slowly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking 10 years later. Anyway, back to EA and their glutton.
And they're bullshit.
Yeah, they're bullshit. Honestly, I feel if you're curious about it, if you got friends to play with, because so far all the people that I ran into that were not my friends had no mics, and I really hate playing with no micers. Like, that's part of the reason I like
Oh
playing
man,
games.
we're exactly the opposite.
I don't want to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
No, dude, I made some interesting friends just by picking up a rando. Like, I cannot tell you how many times that we were like,
No, that's
"Fuck,
fine,
we want
but
to play this game. Let's just get a rando," and then like we talk to them, and they're like hella chill.
a
But
lot.
granted, there's also like that 75% chance he's gonna be like racist and like 12 and like shitty.
I have found that 90% of the time, any randos we pick up just need to shut the fuck up. But that's okay because I feel like that's how they feel about me as well.
Well, see, I've also played like PUBG and shit, and like I've kind of abused people. Like, oh man, this guy's a no micer. I fucking shot him and left him for dead, and would continue going. Right, get a mic, asshole, and just fucking leave. Right, you know, I mean, this is all part of that.
Hey,
Yeah.
we've all been trolls at one point.
This
or
is
another.
also
Yeah.
why I don't play battle royale games because I hate
Yeah,
it.
I mean, even in Siege, dude, like. I'm one of the nice ones in Siege. I can't tell you how many times like some dude like didn't say anything the whole match, and I put a reinforcement up in the wrong place, and all of a sudden he's like, "No, I'll play a game," and shoots me in the back of the head. Like, mute, go fuck yourself, kick. I'll come back next round. We'll get a new guy. You know. But there are times when it's cool. It's like, you know, I like to strike up conversation and talk to people and stuff like that, right? You know. So
Pops, you are just a social
I was
butterfly.
gonna say, if
I
I wanted
am.
to go social,
I'm
I'd go
a very
outside.
social butterfly. I mean, yeah.
The reason he can't be social in person is because he looks like a giant Viking and nobody wants
That's
to
not
talk to him.
true. I'm very social in person. I love
It's
talking.
just funny
to
that you're Mr. Like, I love being social with people. I play games to talk to people. And just earlier, I was talking about how I'm not playing multiplayer games because I'm tired of dealing with people, even my own friends.
I have a lot of good experience. Like, I'm a pretty chill guy, and so like it takes a. I'm with you guys too. Like obviously I have an asshole tolerance. I'm here on the podcast.
Well,
So, I
oh
mean-
yeah, that and also you play with Edge.
Well, no, that's a salty bitch tolerance. Let me tell you.
Yeah, no, I feel it's
He's
like
not
a
an
little
asshole.
bit of
He's just a
everything.
salty. Like you could float on his salt, dude. Like
Yeah,
He's
but
like the Dead
I'm-
Sea.
but to be fair
I've
though,
also known him for 10 years, and I don't think I'm going to get rid of him at this point. So I might as well.
no,
just
I am
cut
not telling you to
having
get
him
rid of him.
around.
The reason we keep Edge around is because every group needs that guy. I'm just saying, like
Just like every D&D game needs a rule Nazi.
if he were to be able to act out in the real world, because I've met him in IRL, but in the real world, if he acted how he acted in games, homie would be in jail.
Yeah, he
I'm
would.
gonna put that out there.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I'm not saying you are. That's 100% truth right there. I'm just
But-
saying that I used to be introverted as a kid, and now I'm pretty extroverted, and I
To
like.
be fair,
I like
you were also Mormon.
I mean, that didn't matter.
I was about to say, I don't
still
think you
loner
were introverted.
regardless.
I just don't think you were allowed.
No, I was totally allowed to be social. That was fine. It's not that. I'm just a social butterfly. I like talking to people.
I don't believe you.
I like dating peoples, so I become social.
All right, so what's the other game that you wanted to talk about?
It's the actual
The
good
other game that everybody else wants to talk about.
Yeah, Apex
Sure.
Legends. I was at first like, oh no, an EA Battle Royale.
All right, so I know nothing
Yeah.
about this, so
So,
talk to me
yeah,
like I know nothing.
But
But-
about
let me
this.
let me give a little bit of context then. Even if you haven't played it, I can promise you've probably heard of Apex Legends. Right now, a lot of people are like all about. He asked my mom if I play Fortnite, and I told my mom to tell him to go fuck himself.
I'm pretty sure your mother didn't actually do that.
She probably, well, actually knowing my mom, she might have.
But anyway,
She might have.
so Apex Legends is an interesting thing. Like I said, I had no interest in it before, and I was like, I actually watched another YouTuber who I'll credit his Bikini Body. He does a lot of Siege videos. I love him to death. If you haven't ever seen him, check him out. He did a video
Sounds
on
like a
Apex
Fuck
stand-up
Legends.
guy.
episode, man. We need to start getting paid for this shit.
Yeah, I know, right? This is what we need to do. And it actually seemed like really fun. The one of the biggest difference that really drew me in from watching his video to this battle royale is that in most battle royale games, if you run with a squad and you die, you're dead, and now you have to sit there for like 30 minutes as they like battle groups and try to get in the circle and try to fight for dominance for positioning, and you're more support. You're calling out stuff. You're like, hey, there's this over there, blah blah blah, and you're looking at a map and shit like that.
You're cheating, is what you're doing.
No, you just become air support.
Mhm.
In Apex Legends, you can actually retrieve your fallen comrade's banner and go to respawn points and respawn them. They don't come back with anything. They don't have their gear or anything like that. But you can get your teammate back.
So
Um,
this is actually something my buddy at work was complaining about with this game because he's also playing this. So my buddy is in a situation where unfortunately he's carrying his team. It happens, we've all been there, sometimes you're just on a team that's not keeping up with your ability. It happens.
Yep.
But what he found is if they get their teammate the fuck back up, you don't get that kill point anymore. So
What?
where he has like 20, 30 kills he's sure of, he's not getting the score for it, and his team is tanking because they're getting no kills. But yes, if they get their teammate back up, you lose out on that kill.
Yep, that is true. I don't find it to be a necessary problem because we squad wipe. We wipe the motherfucking squad. We don't
Sure,
let
and
people
if you can do that, yay. But if you're in a team where you're carrying and you're getting the kills, but now you're looking just as bad because your team can't keep up, that's actually pretty brutal.
right. But I guarantee you, he's probably solo queuing.
No, he had one friend with him.
Okay, so they're duo queuing. Well,
But
they're
you're saying it like it's a bad thing, dude. Some people just don't
Right.
want to be part of groups.
Right.
no, and that's fine. He doesn't have to. You can actually solo queue by
Well,
himself.
you were
Like-
literally judging him. That was the equivalent of
Yeah,
get
because-
good scrub.
because it is. Get good, scrub.
But
Yeah.
that's
Fucking squad
bullshit.
wipe.
No,
If
You
you,
know how many
don't
times-
know people that you can
Do you
play with
know
online, then
you
you're
make
just
friends?
destined to lose.
Yeah,
no,
make
see, get
friends.
the fuck out of here
Bullshit.
with your gatekeeping
Bullshit.
bullshit.
Hey guys, blah, 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 and their shitty mic quality, because that's another complaint I have about this game is the mic quality is fucking garbage on that game. You make friends. That's what you do in every battle royale game. You make friends that
And
play that
that's
goddamn game.
shitty. That's shitty to be like,
It's-
what if there's somebody who's socially anxious or just can't get himself to do that? He's just fucked forever and can't play your game because fuck you? Fuck
No, that's
you.
not true. First of all, most battle royale games have either a solo queue, a duo queue, or a squad queue of some kind, right? This game only came out with 3 people at a time that can queue up, and they are planning to release a solo and duo queue. So if you're a socially anxious person, don't want to play with anybody else, you just want to get a shit ton of kills and win by yourself solo, go play solo. But I play these games with friends, and that's why I like them, is because they're squad-based tactics that I really like. And
There's
it's not.
nothing I hate more than my friends.
Yeah, we know that.
No, he's lying.
Anyway,
He hates cheese.
I do hate
Yeah.
cheese.
I love cheese, you motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. I love cheese too.
Anyway, I do really like the art style of the game. I feel that it's like a Borderlands, kind of like cell shaded, right? And it really feels like it. It feels like you're wandering like somewhere on Pandora, right? And like in this like kind of like westerny kind of like shootout with other teams. The other cool thing is that each hero has their own kind of unique abilities, which actually adds to the like element of group play if you want to do that kind of thing. So far, my main 2 are Bangalore, who is more of a attack-based hero or heroine, who has a grenade launcher that shoots smokes. It fires out 1 shell and it turns into 3. So you get an area of effect, which is really good for moving up into position or dipping out of position. Her passive is that you, when you get shot at, you gain a speed boost. And I can't tell you how many allies I pulled out of hot garbage fire fucking by just being able to run around and get away from the enemy and then come back flank and then grab my ally and pick him up, and then we put down our smoke and dart. She also can call on artillery, which is good for zone control, and all around one of my favorite characters. The other one I play is more defensive. His name is Caustic. He throws down basically canisters that if an enemy rolls by, they'll activate and start spewing poison everywhere. He can also throw a poison grenade, which does a shit ton of damage and is also good for kind of zone control, but is more built for being inside, or he has to be really close to the enemy in order to be effective. He is slower and beefier, so his hitbox is bigger and he could take more bullets. There's tons of other characters, and each one feels like they're really unique. Saint, I know, likes playing Lifeline, who's like the medic. She gets a shield that when she's picking an ally up, gets a shield in front of him.
Medic.
It's usually Edge that plays the medic.
Yeah,
He does it too.
and so like he also gets a drone that can put down, that can heal teammates and stuff like that. So each of the heroes feels unique. I will say that the combat was something I had to get more used to. It felt a little bit more like kind of Call of Duty because of the bullets you have to put into people, and there's some times where it's just like, I unloaded 3 clips into that guy, how come he's not dead? and it might just be desync because a lot of these games, the biggest thing they suffer from is desync. Which, if you don't know what desync is, it's I put in a bunch of mags into this person, but the internet's still catching up. So actually, I only shot one bullet, and they put 4 into me, and it caught up, and now I'm dead.
Right.
Yeah, it's lag. It's called lag.
Wait, really quick, I know these two games came out at similar times ish. Which one of these is the worst? Sorry, Titanfall 2 sucked.
That
Apex.
is Apex Legends. It's built on the skeleton of 3 of
Okay.
Titanfall 3.
What is that? Wait, what do you mean? What? I haven't heard that part. So this is actually going to be what Titan 3 is built on?
Titan 3 was canceled, and
Yeah.
from the husk of Titan 3, they built Apex Legends.
Oh, me and Eduardo played one like this. Eduardo, what was the one we played that was supposed to be Blood Omen 3?
Oh,
Remember what I was talking about? Actually, Klops, you played this with us. It was
Yeah.
humans versus vampires 4v4 versus.
yeah, no, it was. I know what it was. I remember it was. Shit, Sun.
You both played this.
Yeah, no, I remember this, and it actually went offline, and they took the servers down a while ago.
Oh, I don't know.
The humans were drastically under fucking powered.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but it's like Shadows of Mordor was supposed to be a Batman game.
Yeah.
Well, that game
Honestly,
sucks,
it's
so.
free to play, so I can't really knock it too hard. You're not paying anything for it, which I'm all for. And they don't really have a bad system of like what they're using for. Most of the stuff, all their stuff is cosmetic. The only things that you can buy with real money that you can also get from the only earnings you get from being in matches, like I don't know, they're like that's L-shaped fucking bullshit that I don't even know what it's called. Is heroes. So you can buy them with in-game currency, or you can buy them with real currency.
Oh, that's nice.
Otherwise, everything you do, you earn like Apex packs in order to get more cosmetics, but everything else is cosmetic. It doesn't affect gameplay, which is the only way to do free to play, in my opinion.
Yep, you are correct.
So I can't really knock it. It's a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun playing it. We're probably still going to pick it up occasionally once we start dying down with Anthem or whatever, if we don't go back to another game. So I highly recommend it. If you like playing battle royales, this one's a solid one. It was working day one, which is funny because it's EA and they're shit. But this game was working day one, and we had no issues really. We had very few drops. We had very few like disconnects. There was occasionally something will come up, right? You know, where a teammate doesn't load in right away and you have to back out, but it's not as bad as like PUBG. You know.
All right, so let's keep the tradition going. Give both of these games a score.
I would give Anthony.
Anthony, no, we're calling it Anthony. It's Anthony
Yeah.
now.
We're giving
now.
Anthony probably
A Tony.
a 6.1 towers for half of it, and the other half probably more closer to like a 7.2 car 98s.
I don't know what any of that means.
Okay.
Out
Next
of
one.
10.
I think
out
he
of 10.
just.
Oh,
he
that was
just-
both?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
what was the first one? I missed the first one.
Like 6.2
Oh, no, they were just that close. Okay.
towers.
Wow. So they're that close, though?
Yeah, they're not. One is
To be fair,
a
though,
little
they're
bit above
very different games.
and the other one, it's not bad. It just suffers for the normal stuff that battle royales do. And until they add more heroes and stuff, it's kind of lackluster. It's the same map, and you're just gonna go in and most likely die to the kill lead.
All right. All
All
right.
right. Okay.
Alright.
Well, hey. All right. So there is something that all three of us have watched, and I'm gonna let Bonsai describe it because I believe he's also read the comic.
Unfortunately. So, recently dropped on Netflix, The Umbrella Academy, brought to you from the creative mind of Gerard Way, except it's not. So, Gerard Way, lead singer of My Chemical Romance, originally did,
Boo!
right. No, you're
Yeah.
not wrong for saying that.
Yep.
Originally did the comic The Umbrella Academy. Look, it's not an abysmal piece of shit. I have read much worse comics, but I read the comic a while ago, and what I remember is really just not enjoying it. Not like, oh, this is garbage, just like, I'm probably just not going to pick up an issue 2. It didn't really capture me. But, you know, sometimes you're just not in the mood for something, or you're really on this one genre, or you're in a mood, something. You know what I mean? It just, sometimes things just don't resonate, and upon a second reading, they really pick up. I didn't get a chance to read it again before the show came out. But I started watching the show, and I'm watching the show with my wife, and she's like, I really like this. And I'm like, I really like this. Did I just forget everything from the comic and was in an awful mood when I read it, or just wasn't feeling it at the time? Like, what's happening? So she picks it up and reads it. She finishes it. She looks at me and she goes, don't reread that. And I was like, why? And she goes, it's terrible. It's not good. The comic does the same things but better. The show does the same things but better. The show extrapolates on all the ideas that the comic doesn't, and it works to the benefit of the show. So the show kind of takes the two main plot arcs from the first two books and runs them simultaneous. So if you're just reading the first book, you're only going to get half of the show. You kind of got to read the first two volumes to get the whole scope of the first season of the show. Okay? And I'm going to keep this kind of spoiler free because Klops hasn't finished it. Eduardo, have you finished it yet?
I think I'm 2 eps from finishing.
So Eduardo hasn't quite finished it. I'm not going to give away too much. But whole themes, whole arcs, whole aspects of characters are just very underdeveloped. And again, I didn't read that second book. Maybe this was like a fledgling kind of thing. He had some ideas and he whipped them out for this comic and it worked, but maybe the second one picks up and it's dope. I don't know. I haven't read the second one. But from what I saw in the show seems to do a much better job at fleshing these characters out at a better pace. I don't need to wait for a second book. I've engaged with the characters from the first couple of episodes of the show. And I think running these two plot lines simultaneously, and when you see the show, you'll get what I mean by two plot lines, but there are. They're running two plot lines simultaneously, and it just helps pace the show out better, and it helps dive into each individual character better, and that really, really helps the show. Klops, go ahead, fill me in on where you... Give me a recap of what you've seen, Klops, so I know how much I can actually talk about. I think you only
saw one ep.
I've only seen the first episode.
Okay. What did you think? Just give me your first episode rundown.
Well, I really liked it, honestly. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it because of the creator that did it. My girlfriend convinced me, no, it's pretty good. She's like 3 episodes in. She's like, no, I think you'll like it. I think you'll like some of the characters in it. So you should watch this. I was like, oh, okay, fine. But even from watching the beginning where they're kind of just going through the different heroes and heroines, right? Because they only have numbers, or the whole birth scene at the beginning,
right?
Was like, what? Wait, she wasn't pregnant to start,
right?
So from the very first part, it kind of did really grasp my interest, right? There's this whole mystery that happens. It's at least
an interesting premise.
And as I came to those conclusions of what was happening, the story started to tell itself, right? It started to explain what happened at a very organic point. Right? You're wondering what the fuck, and they're going, this is what the fuck. So I really enjoyed that. The whole beginning episode. I really like the characters. I really like how the plot was being explained to me. I like how it always is making me ask questions, which is a sign of good cinema.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really liked the whole kind of dynamic of this is a dysfunctional superhero movie, like X-Men almost, right? When they're dysfunctional, they had a lot more shit happen to them.
So you're not far enough to see this yet, but one of the things I actually really, really like, they don't get too much into the superhero aspect. They do stuff. They use their powers. Things happen, but it's almost Walking Dead-ish in the sense that it's not about that. That's not really the point.
Well, I know you're probably going to hate me for it, but I was thinking The Watchmen.
I don't hate you for it, but the Watchmen movie... I haven't read the comic, and maybe the comic's great, but the Watchmen movie is not very good. I'm sorry. It all came down to... I'm just going to do this really quick. It all came down to marketing. That trailer showed you an awesome superhero epic action movie, and the movie delivered superhero porn. So I cannot give any credit to the Watchmen.
Well,
but I get what you're going. I get what you're going for. It's more about the people than it is
about the interaction and what's happening with them and how they're relatable rather than this image, right? Because superheroes are images, right? They're the symbol of whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's what I really enjoy about this. And it's obviously got a darker tone, right? You know, it has a lot of stuff that happens even in the beginning of it, where like
Shit's real, bro.
they talk about like number 6 or number 5 or whatever, and how he died horribly, right? And you're like, well, that can only be one thing because he was the kid that had tentacles come out of him, right? You know, like Cthulian powers.
And actually, one of the things I like, he has almost no character in the comic. They give him so much more in the show.
Do they? That's really good. I'm definitely looking forward to watching more of it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I was surprised. I didn't know how I was gonna feel about it because the first episode felt a little weird to me, in the sense of like it really felt like they were trying to recreate. I forget the name of the show, but it's the same where they all kind of start backwards and it's all flashbacky.
Lost?
No, not Lost.
So
Heroes?
I didn't get that feel of it like being backtracky, like it was just flashback after flashback. They were definitely doing some time play. And
they don't do it too much, I don't think.
Yeah, I liked how it like kind of delve into it when you needed it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't
I mean, it was just a feeling that I was getting, but no, I enjoyed it so far. I'm like I said, I'm 2 episodes from finishing.
So far, my favorite is Kraus.
Of
He
course.
is my favorite character.
Seance? Yeah, Seance is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I knew for a fact that was going to be both Bonsai and yours favorite character.
I mean, I actually liked him before the show started, though, because I'm familiar with the actor from a show he did on, I don't know if it was on BBC, but it's a British show called Misfits, and he is fan-fucking-tastic in Misfits.
Yeah, Marley was showing me that, too.
Misfits is so good, and honestly, once he leaves the show after season 2, it's just never the same without him. He's that good.
Oh,
and it's not just the character that's written. He nails it. And he does the same in this show. He's just on point with his character. I'm not as big of a fan of Rumor. Rumor's okay, and it's not the actress's fault. I just feel like the character's kind of done.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say they treat her better in the show than they do in the comic.
Fair enough. I am reading through the comic just to get a little bit more context.
How far are you in the comic?
I am about halfway through the first.
Volume or issue?
Finished the first issue, finished the second issue. Isn't there only 3 issues per volume?
That book's...
I have it digital, so that's why
I'm going to go with no, because the book is that thick.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh, but no, that one has... Doesn't that have 1 through 3 in it, though?
I mean, it probably has 1 through 3, but it probably has more than that. It just seems rather thick for 3 single issues. This will probably say what it collects. Let me see. It does not say what it collects in here.
All right.
And it literally actually, does not at all say what volume.
We're right about that time.
Really?
Yep. Mm-hmm. So check us out on Tuesdays for our Carpenter show at
I'm still looking.
He's still looking. 7 to 9. And then 5D podcast gets published Mondays, I think. I don't remember.
The 5D, yeah, we post on Mondays.
Mondays.
Sorry, I'm looking this up.
That's okay. And we're actually live on YouTube from 7 to 8 o'clock Pacific.
Oh my god, even online it doesn't say what the fuck it collects. 1 through 6. Volume 1 is 1 through 6.
Okay, so then I am at just finished 1 and 2 then of the single issues. Anyways, those were his final words.
Oh, no.
His final words were YouTube. Done.
Right.
What's your final words, Bonsai?
Was that issue 1 through 6?
No, it's YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep. I hate both of you. Bye.
It's so easy.
Yeah.